Okay, this one is for the cinephiles out there because no one else has seen this movie.
Even most of the people I know who are hardcore into movies have not seen this movie.
That's so true. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
And this is Baby's First Watch List.
And this is Baby.
Yeah, Baby's in the middle right now. He's in his high chair.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You know, you always got to try new things.
It's the podcast where we watch a movie and then we decide if we want our baby to watch it.
So far, we're 37 movies in and every single one has made it.
37 for 37.
Even the ones we didn't love.
It's not bad.
Even you, Avatar.
I'm like, are we even going to get to see the second Avatar before the Oscars?
No.
Oh, honestly, no harm, no foul.
I do want to watch it, though.
Well,
just for completion's sake.
I know. Today, though, we are talking about 2014's Life Itself. This movie, if you have not heard of it, is a biographical documentary about the life of Roger Ebert. And it's based on his 2011 memoir. Now, when I suggested this movie to Tom, he thought I was talking about a different one.
Wait, can I talk about the other Life Itself?
Yeah.
So I looked up Life Itself. Aaron was like, okay, why don't we do Life Itself for
Because he wanted to do Coda, and I'm like, I feel like that wouldn't be very, like, fun. No offense. I love Coda, but, like,
yeah.
You know, for the podcast episode for now.
So
and I'm like, okay, we could do Life Itself. It's about Roger Ebert. We love Roger Ebert.
You didn't say that.
No. In my head, I said that. And then so I said to Tom, let's just do Life Itself.
Yeah, so I looked up Life Itself. I was like, what is she talking about? And I looked up, the first thing that comes up when you type Life Itself movie into Google is the 2018 Life Itself, written, co-produced and directed by Dan Fogelman, who wrote like Cars and Tangled. Yeah, I know. and Crazy Stupid Love. And it stars Oscar Isaac, Olivia Wilde, Mandy Patinkin, Olivia Cook, Annette Bening, Antonio Banderas, Samuel L. Jackson's the narrator.
Cast slaps, honestly.
I was like, oh, this movie, like, is this supposed to be like a really good movie? And then I read that it received largely negative reviews from critics who called it, quote, simultaneously overwrought and underwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
So I was like, oh, so she wants to do this like as a joke. Like,
right.
So instead of doing like the movie that just won Best Picture, we're going to do
like a bad movie.
Life Itself 2018. Yeah.
Well, and he said
somebody doesn't care very much about this.
I love it. We're keeping it in.
Oh, yeah. We have a very own podcast host here.
Well, you text me and you're like, is that a joke? And I was like, no. Like, wow, that's rude. So, yes, we're doing Life Itself, the 2014 documentary. It at a slightly long for a documentary, 121 minutes. This doc was directed by Steve James. So Steve James is best known for directing 1994's Hoop Dreams. If you have never seen Hoop Dreams, it's like one of the best. It's like considered oftentimes the best documentary ever made.
I have never seen it.
It's excellent. It is long. It's like 171 minutes long.
That's why
like
I haven't seen it.
Mad long. But it's about two high school basketball players who have aspirations of reaching the NBA.
Hoop Dreams.
They got Hoop Dreams. And it's an excellent documentary. I highly recommend it. I watched it back in high school with my dad. And I'm due for a rewatch. We'll see.
We'll do it for the podcast probably.
Oh, yeah, totally. So this film, just like Hoop Dreams, premiered at Sundance Film Festival. And it was Life Itself was also featured at Cannes, which I think is nice because they have a whole section about the Cannes Film Festival.
And how Ebert was extremely involved in it.
Yeah, he like loved it. And he always stayed at like this awful hotel.
Like crappy hotel.
The Splendide.
Yes.
And he always loved staying there and walking around in the early morning.
No matter how like famous he got, he always wanted to be. He always was there and he would make people meet him there.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, I don't want to go to this like hole in the wall hotel that Ebert's at.
Yeah. And he had, it's this beautiful little segment. It's like from his memoir of where he like loved to wake up early, walk around rock, like along the river, sit at the same table at the same cafe and order a cafe au lait, a Perrier, and a croissant. And I loved that. I thought that was so
Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert. After its release in July of 2014, Life Itself ended up on the shortlist for the Best Documentary nomination at the Oscars.
Did not get it.
It was not nominated. It did win a News and Documentary Emmy for Best Editing. It was at some point bought by CNN Films, and they aired it. So that's why I assume it was also able to be nominated for Emmys.
Right.
Of course, this documentary stars film critic Roger Ebert, but it also features talking heads, but also other stuff with his wife Chaz, Martin Scorsese, Werner Herzog,
Yes.
Errol Morris.
He was like Ebert was a titan of cinema.
Ava DuVernay and others. This is an interesting little fact. So Roger Ebert, at the end of his life, the last 6 years of his life or so, he could not speak. He had a jaw cancer.
It's such like cruel irony for somebody who is known so much for their opinions and their being on TV and talking about things.
Yeah. And he unfortunately couldn't speak for the last some odd number of years of his life. So from his memoir, they have excerpts from in the movie, and all of the excerpts are read by voice actor Steven Stanton, and he actually does sound like Ebert.
He does.
He sounds pretty good. Yeah, and and Steven Stanton, he's been in a billion things. He's doing his own thing.
We got a whole other episode recording right now.
This is so cute. One of the things I saw that Steven Stanton does, he does a ton of stuff in Disneyland.
Really?
Like a lot of
the voiceovers for roller coasters.
Yeah,
and things
exactly.
Like that?
And in Disney World, he plays Happy in the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train ride in Magic Kingdom. But most of his stuff is in Disneyland. But he has tons of credits. He plays other famous people and stuff. I saw he's in some show, and he plays John Cena in the show.
Like a live action show or a voice?
No, a voiceover.
Oh, okay.
So
like Drunk History kind of thing?
I don't even know. So the movie wasn't released until after Ebert's death in 2013. And to secure its completion and release, $150,000 was raised on an Indiegogo campaign. It's sort of like a GoFundMe, but specifically for art stuff, movies and things like that.
He's trying to read the tag on this toy right now.
Life Itself has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Who
Who
gave it a rotten score?
I know. And it made $810,454. Take that to Leslie.
Yes. Money wasn't the point of this movie.
No,
though.
absolutely
Especially
not.
by the time it came out.
So this movie, while a small film and one that may not be super easy to find, we found it pretty easily on Canopy.
It's on Canopy. It's on Tubi. It's on the random free ones that you don't know you have.
So I'm going to say it again. If you have a library card, you have access to Canopy, which is
almost definitely. Some libraries
don't. Some libraries don't, but most do. And it's a really great service where you have, it's like a streaming service, and you have, I think, 5 a month.
Depending on the library.
Okay.
You could have more. Could have more.
And you can watch movies, TV shows, and it's just, I think, a really cool service.
And it has a better selection than you would think.
Yeah, you might think oh, I probably don't know of a single movie. You do.
Yeah, especially if you listen to our Grizzly Man episode.
Yes.
But no, there's drama. There's Midsummer was on there at one point. There's a lot of movies that you've seen elsewhere.
So I would just say,
and you pay for it with your taxes. So
yeah, exactly. Let me just do a PSA because having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. That's from the PBS show Arthur. And if you have a library,
why was I going to say Franklin?
It's not Franklin, it's Arthur. So Canopy is one of the services that you can use with a library card. One other one that I'll point out is
Libby.
Libby. We love Libby. So Libby actually gets you, it's sort of like a library app where you can get audiobooks and Kindle books or whatever, ebooks, for free. So it's awesome because I was paying like $15 a month for Audible. And then I found out about Libby and I was like, oh, so I can just get these for free. Now, of course, they only have a certain amount of copies, so you may have to wait for it. But I use it pretty much exclusively, minus my book club books, for I use Libby, and I love it.
Shout out book club.
Shout out book club. And I feel like Roger Ebert would love us taking this time because he was a major proponent of like public television.
Yeah, he started on public. Well, he started in Chicago Sun-Times, but his first TV show was public TV.
Exactly. So I thought that some library action would be great. And there's a lot of other stuff that libraries do. I know that like some give out like free passes to stuff. I think ours just free passes to Grounds for Sculpture.
I was going to say Six Flags.
No, I don't know about Six Flags. You can get a Coke can, get in for free.
Yes.
So Life Itself, yeah, I would say definitely check it out if you're a fan of Roger Ebert and his...
Or if you're just a fan of movies.
It doesn't quite... I'll talk about it later. A little criticism I have about the movie.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. And it caught me in my feels.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And I like that it was about, like, not just love of movies.
It's about life itself.
So, Tom, give us a little bit of a tragic summary.
So I don't even really have a summary here because it was a documentary. These are tough. And also I had no help from many online resources for the most part because like nobody saw this movie.
Or me, because you asked me to help and I said, yeah.
Like multiple times.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. But so I went through and I found a little bit of a synopsis. And it's just more about... I don't know if you can hear that.
He's sucking on his
dear listener.
Teeth coming in.
But basically what I have is just a list of what is talked about in the movie. It's not necessarily like a beat by beat summary.
Yeah.
So this film, Life Itself, whose name is taken from the title of Roger Ebert's memoir, as Erin already mentioned, it documents the professional life and associated behind-the-scenes personal life of Roger Ebert, perhaps best known as one of the preeminent film critics of his time, both of the Chicago Sun-Times and in his many television appearances with rival film critic Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. The film chronicles, among others, Ebert's knowledge from a young age that he wanted to be a print journalist to capitalize on his natural flair for writing and the measures he took to achieve that, being appointed a reporter for the Sun-Times in 1967 and his appointment shortly thereafter to being its film critic, his unlikely on the surface collaboration with risque filmmaker Russ Meyer on Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, 1970.
I had no idea that he wrote
which
that.
Ebert wrote. Being awarded a Pulitzer Prize, the first person to be awarded such for film criticism, and how he used that prize to advance his career. His admitted alcoholism and being sober since the late 1970s. His antagonistic collaboration with Siskel and how that collaboration eventually blossomed into friendship, characterized as a relationship akin to sibling rivals. How their television shows changed the face of popular film criticism for good and bad. Getting married for the first time late in his life, his wife Chaz Ebert, who would be by his side personally and professionally until his death. How he helped the careers of many struggling filmmakers, some of whom would become his friends, and how those friendships affected how he reviewed their subsequent movies. How Siskel's illness and subsequent death affected how Ebert dealt publicly with his own physically deforming cancer, and how his deteriorating health affected how this documentary ended up being framed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the movie's about.
Yeah.
And that didn't really capture it because...
Yeah, no.
there's so much little stuff in there. I mean, we were cracking up for his little comments on things.
He's very funny.
He was very quippy, which is again why it was a shame that he sort of lost his ability to like do that on the fly, like you know.
Yeah, he was such a Renaissance man. I feel like he wrote crazy amounts of stuff, not just movie reviews. He wrote a novel where he would release like a chapter at a time.
Serial.
It was like a Dickens thing. Yeah. He did a book on great walks in London or something. He did how to get bugs out of your computer. Like he did all kinds of different things, and I just love that idea of someone who has multiple interests.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. Film was his interest. Like,
I mean, of course, that's his thing. But it wasn't his only thing.
Right. He wasn't a one-trick pony.
Exactly. And I really like that about it. What did you find to be the most interesting section in the documentary?
That's a good question. I really liked the behind-the-scenes stuff with Siskel.
Me too. I loved that.
They were like such children.
Yeah. By the time I knew about the show, it was Ebert and Roper.
Me too.
Which, by the way, Roper does not get even a single mention in the documentary.
Not one single one.
And I looked it up, and Roper is still like doing his thing. He's reviewing movies. His favorite movie of this year was The Whale. Which we haven't seen. No. I don't know, man.
We'll see.
Okay, so I
thought that, like, when I was growing up, I thought it was Ebert and Roper. Like, I thought that was it. And then I found out afterwards about Siskel.
Yeah. So Siskel, he died in 1999. So actually, we were around.
But that was about, I mean, we weren't, like, thinking about movies in 1999.
Speak for yourself.
Someone's speaking for himself.
Yeah, I loved the Siskel-Ebert dynamic. They literally hated each other.
They hate each other, but they didn't.
What I really liked was that I didn't know this, that they both were from Chicago, and that Ebert was for the Sun-Times and Siskel was for the Tribune. And they had kind of different audiences.
Yes.
And they really, I think, played into that. But it clearly was like accessible for everybody.
Yeah. And I bet there were people who had they were Siskel fans and they were Ebert fans, I'm sure.
It reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine loves, I think Jean is the guy's name. So she goes to like her local Blockbuster store and they have pics from like the different people, like these are like John pics, these are whatever pics, and so she loves Gene pics, and so she always gets his movies, and then she ends up fighting with him. She finds out that he's like a 13-year-old or something.
Oh my god.
And so then she ends up going with some other guy's pic. And she's like, I hate his pics.
Yeah.
So there's definitely people that are like, oh, I loved everything Siskel liked, and I hated everything Ebert liked. Yeah.
So Siskel was more of like the cosmopolitan of the two, I think.
Yeah.
Like his audience was more like the more affluent, probably white people.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Whereas Ebert was a little bit more of a man of the people.
I saw on Wikipedia under like preferences that.
Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not.
Okay.
They just had different things that they really enjoyed. So Ebert really liked movies that were progressive on things like race issues. And Siskel really liked movies that focused on family dynamics.
Okay.
Which I just think is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Roper have one? You looked up Roper. I don't know.
I looked up Roper after, but I don't know actually. But I thought that was fun. What I also really liked is that when they disagreed like heavy.
And they like got personal with each other.
They'd be like, "You're stupid."
Yeah.
Like that's why you're an idiot.
Come on, Gene.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, you're gonna make me look like that.
It's so good. Who is your Siskel?
I think we both know who my Siskel is.
I just want you to say it.
It's my friend Nick.
Not Uncle Nick.
Not Uncle Nick.
A different Uncle Nick.
A different Uncle Nick who will eventually be on the podcast.
So why do you disagree with him on everything?
That's a great question.
I fight with him constantly.
Yes.
But I feel like with you, it's always about like movies and TV shows.
Yeah, and music.
Okay, so
back in the day, one of our big fights was, would you rather... Who do you think is... I don't remember what the exact question was, but it came down to, do you prefer LMFAO or Tyler, the Creator? And this was in like 2011.
Oh, the height of LMFAO at least.
Yeah. And I think I won that one. I was on the Tyler, the Creator side.
Oh, not LMFAO?
I mean, listen, love me a little Sorry for Party Rockin', but... but I mean, Tyler, the Creator's won Grammys. He's like changed his image. He's like he's had TV shows. Like he has stood the test of time in the last 12 years.
Yeah. More
than LMFAO has, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
There'll always be time for a comeback.
I love Red Foo.
Was that the guy's name?
Yeah.
The guy with the afro?
Yeah, he said, I'm Red Foo with the big fro.
So I watched, so I was literally talking about this earlier today with him.
Okay, but hold on. Let me just say that only one of them does the theme song to Jersey Shore, and it's not Tyler, the Creator. Get crazy, get wild.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair point, but that wasn't one of the points that we...
And also, the other point is, LMFAO also did the theme song to Courtney and Chloe Take Miami.
That's
I'm in
that
Miami
actually
trick.
That takes away.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that counterbalances the Jersey Shore one.
That's true.
But no, like, I was talking about this earlier today, and then I had to go watch the Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a parody of LMFAO, and it's like party all night long or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like they're in this party, and like they want to leave, but they literally can't leave. They open the door, and it's like there's a girl dancing behind them, and then they open the door, and the same girl's dancing in front of them, so they can't, like, it's like they're walking into the same room. And I was watching this, and they're like spelling out help in Jello shots on the bar, and like I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, I used to think it was funny and crazy that like Jordan Peele became this master horror director, but the seeds were there.
Oh, there's tons of Key and Peele sketches that are
something like that.
Like the Continental Breakfast.
That's literally based off of The Shining.
The Shining.
So it's like, but in the LMFAO one, it's like, this is horror. This is a horror video.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're stuck in this endless loop of never being able to stop partying.
Also, it's just horror, the fact that all of their sketches are like 90 seconds too long.
This one wasn't. This one is perfect. It was like 2.5 minutes long.
Well, okay, if you think that Tyler, the Creator, he's won awards and he's so like fancy, whatever.
I'm not saying he's fancy.
Okay, so is Tyler, the Creator Siskel and LMFAO's Ebert?
Maybe. Maybe.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, if
so talk more about this Uncle Nick W.
Well, I was gonna say if either of them was gonna be the creator of the show Loiter Squad on Adult Swim, it would have been Ebert. It wouldn't have been Siskel.
That's true. That is true. So you fight with him all the time.
Oh, constantly. That's just one example. What did we fight about the other day? We fight about The Last of Us every single week.
Every single week.
And we both like it.
Text
but that's the thing.
Week.
That's the thing. We fight about things that we both like.
Okay, well, Nick doesn't. His whole thing is like, if he loves a movie for the first 99% of it and then hates the ending, he hated the movie.
Yeah, he actually wrote about that on our blog back in our blog days.
Yes. He like doesn't really believe in complex readings of things. He's like, it was happy or sad. I liked it or I didn't like it.
We have to have him and Chris Clark on, and they will be our Siskel and Ebert.
It's not a bad idea.
They can argue about Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which I've seen happen.
What movie do you think you would want to watch to do a Siskel and Ebert showdown with Uncle Nick?
I think we could do like a Batman versus Superman kind of deal.
Good, yeah.
Because I'll massacre it, and he likes it.
Yeah, totally.
So maybe something like that. Or we could just do a weekly Last of Us segment and go down even further in the viewership.
They literally don't stop with The Last of Us. It's like wild. Okay. So both Siskel and Ebert, part of their things, they would like occasionally they would like watch movies together before like recording. And they both had very, very specific seats that they liked to be in. I don't remember. Ebert's is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Somewhere. But Siskel really
it was like he described it. It was like the perfect angle between.
Yeah.
Here's what he said. He said, "It's double the distance of how wide the screen is."
Yes,
or something like that.
That's so Ebert. And then Siskel liked to be in the back corner.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular spot or seat that you like to be in? And I can tell you right now, mine is not where we saw 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street, where we were in like the front row.
Okay.
And I hurt my neck watching 22 Jump Street.
So can I preface this? I'm going to transition from our previous question.
When you and Uncle Nick...
Wait, no, let me tell the story.
We're in Atlantic City, that one?
So I had never seen a Fast and Furious movie ever until 2017-ish.
Yeah.
And so my friend, we were going down to Atlantic City, as post-college people do, in New Jersey, and Nick was like, okay, well, Furious 7's opening. It's the opening night.
It's big time.
Big thing, but like we're going to go to Atlantic City, so like I kind of want to see it, but like we have plans. So I was like, all right. This was like the Saturday, and we were going that Friday, and I decided that I was going to watch all of the Fast and Furious movies up until 7 in that week.
Yeah.
And I skipped Tokyo Drift because it's out of
order.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll get to Tokyo Drift, which I still haven't. But I watched 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. The week leading up to Furious 7, we went to the Tropicana. We bought IMAX tickets. I never see anything in IMAX, but you got to get Furious 7 in IMAX. And we were in the very, very front row. But we weren't in the front row because it was so packed and it was oversold that they brought in seats. Chairs. For people sat on chairs the whole movie in front of the
heyday of movies, baby.
In front of the front row.
That has to be the worst spot
in IMAX. Like the screen was.
Did you literally just see like a couple pixels in front of your face?
I loved it. It was great.
Very immersive.
Furious 7 rules. We got to we got to do the Fast and Furious.
Oh my god, I don't want to.
The first one's legitimately good.
All right. So okay.
So are the next. Never mind.
Besides that, what's your favorite spot to sit in?
I like when the I actually like when it's 3 times the distance between. No, no, I like when it's straight ahead, when it's eye level. You're not looking up. Obviously, you're not too far back. I kind of like the middle, but I also like the back row because there's nobody behind me.
Yeah, I do.
So I can and I mainly like when there's nobody in front of me, so I can put my seat up, or my feet up on the chair in front of me.
It's good. That's really
so
good.
I'm versatile. Like I said, I saw Furious 7 and IMAX in the front row, so
yeah.
It can only go up from there.
Totally. Yeah.
What about you?
I like to be where I can easily be closest to the exit. to bring the mood down.
Manana's just shaking his head.
It's just, I like to make sure that
That's also not true.
Yeah, it is. I always check my exits.
Doesn't mean you always sit closest to the exit.
No, but I like to. It's my favorite.
You sit in the middle all the time.
It's my favorite.
Actually, you haven't been to a theater in like over a year.
No, Green Knight.
Maybe.
Was the last one I think I saw in theaters. And
that was 2021.
I was a little like, whoop.
No, we saw something after that. But I don't remember what it was. Northman we saw.
Northman we saw. Yeah, that one I was like, whoop.
Yeah.
There's some scenes in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like to be in the back. I like to be in the back row if I can help it. I also like when they have like the little 2-seaters. And I also really like when I can go and recline all the way back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Manon said Erin also wears a safety vest to movies so she can easily be seen in case of emergency. Like, not even a joke.
Yeah, you would.
If that was an option, I would take the safety vest and, as I entered the theater. That is so true.
Do you have a movie theater snack that you like? We don't really do that anymore.
So no, but when I was a kid, it was soft pretzel bites with nacho cheese.
Ugh.
Obviously. And then you make sure your sister gets popcorn, so then you put some of the popcorn in the leftover tray, and then you can use that with the nacho cheese.
Soft pretzels are overrated. I'm sorry.
They're not, but that's fine. What's yours?
Bunch of Crunch and Snow Caps.
Okay, they both slap.
Yeah, I know.
Those are both excellent choices, and also I would probably hate them now, but I also really liked cookie dough bites when I liked them too. Growing up,
unfortunately for my body.
Bunch of Crunch though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I used to do for
gifts. Listen, Snow Caps good. Non-Perels not that good.
No, they're
they're the same thing.
I like both. My thing is when I was younger, I would do little movie gifts for people, and I would do a gift card and then snacks. I always made sure that Bunch of Crunch was in there.
Yeah,
always. And then when at Regal,
it's rarer.
It is rarer. At Regal, my Regal Burlington 24, shout out. Somehow still operating.
Blood pumping through its veins.
I drive by it often to go to Target, and
Ghost
I'm just
town. Ghost town.
This place, weeds growing up everywhere, not a car to be found.
And it says on the marquee, with all the letters falling off, it's the best place to see a movie.
Oh yeah, I know. But so Regal used to do a thing where you would do a kids thing, and it would be a small drink, an actual small, not a movie theater small, which is an extra large.
Ounces, yeah,
be a small drink, a little thing of popcorn, and then you got 2 Airheads. And I was like, that's
bizarre.
Nice. I like that. And it costs
It's bizarre that it's Airheads.
Yeah, it was just 2 Airheads. My guess is because they're individually wrapped and pretty easily transportable.
Okay.
And then that would be yours, and it would be in a little box, and you had that. I liked that. Also, I not that I would like, this is totally fake. I would totally never do this, but I have been known to maybe bring in my own snack.
Oh my God. You're saying this saying this on camera.
The worst. I went with Manon actually, and I think we saw Alice in Wonderland. And
yikes.
First mistake. I don't know what we saw. It was something weird. And it was me, you, my sister, a couple of the other friends, and I bought a huge thing of lemon lime Gatorade. And then I bought a bunch of cups and we poured like literally the biggest thing of Gatorade. The one where like you have that like thing to tilt it so that you could hold on to it and it wouldn't spill everywhere. And I was just pouring out like huge things of Gatorade, lemon lime Gatorade to everybody. That was pretty bad. And then we also used to go to Wawa and we would get like sandwiches, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, and eat that in the theaters. Does that count?
Yeah, it's also disgusting. It's also probably the most American thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I brought my Salisbury steak to the theater.
I loved going to the movies growing up. I really did.
Clearly, you were eating freaking whole meals there.
Oh my God. It was on site, baby.
Lasagna.
If I could fit lasagna in my backpack, it would have been there. That's for sure. It was so fun. And I would sit very close to the exits. So, okay. Let me see what else I got here. Oh, so one of the cool things about Ebert is that he stayed at the Chicago Sun-Times his entire career. Like, he was asked to come to like the Washington Post. He could have been at the New York Times. He could have gone anywhere. And like even when like Rupert Murdoch bought the paper and people were leaving left and right, he still stayed. And he's like, look, not everybody has a choice to go elsewhere. He's like, so I'm standing with the people.
Yeah. He was a man of the people. He was also very dramatic.
Yes. I said Ebert staying at the Chicago Sun-Times his entire career is like when you want your favorite athlete to stay with the team he was drafted with.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
I mean, I tried to come up with a specific example, but I forgot every athlete that ever existed.
It would be like LeBron James staying in Cleveland his whole career.
Right. Yeah. Did Tim Duncan stay with the Spurs?
He did.
There you go.
But that was more of a thing back in the day.
What about like Jeter?
Yeah, he was a Yankee the whole time. But like
so like something like that.
There was a few of them. But like throughout the way that free agency is, the way they incentivize free agents, everyone
leaves.
Flies around.
Yeah.
But back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, you would see players stick with their teams the whole time. And then it would be weird to see like Michael Jordan with the Wizards.
Yeah.
Or, like things like that.
Yeah, so like imagine like Ebert in like a Wizards jersey.
April's dreaming right now and she's just twitching on the ground.
Oh my God, she's fine.
Like Tony Parker went to the Hornets his last year, which was a weird sight.
Did he play for the Lakers?
No, he was the Spurs his entire career.
Okay.
Remember Eva Longoria cheated on her and all that? Yeah.
I do. I got him confused with Rick Fox, who was a Laker, and he was in Holes.
He was in Holes. Yeah, Rick Fox. He was a 3-time champion, I think.
Yeah, and it was his sneakers.
He was with the Shaq and Kobe team. He did not have sneakers in real life.
He didn't have sneakers?
Maybe he did, actually.
No, I think Zero stole his sneakers.
Oh, his actual sneakers. I thought you meant he had like Jordans.
Oh, maybe he did. I don't know. I got to rewatch. That was a good movie. We should do Holes soon.
Maybe we will.
They get up. I wonder if what Roger Ebert gave Holes.
We'll find out when we do the episode.
So I looked up what the craziest 2 thumbs up movie was because unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
2 thumbs up meaning
they both, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, liked it. They gave it a thumbs up. So that was something that ended up happening in their TV show. Of course, they write out their long reviews, and then they argue about them on the show. But it really came down to that thumbs up or thumbs down.
Like whether the movie makes Baby's First Watch List. It's the same thing.
Same exact thing. Same kind of suspense.
But we didn't steal it from them.
Everyone's clamoring.
Yes.
And
we're tastemakers.
That's right. And so people would legit like put it on movie posters. 2 thumbs up.
I always thought it was like some person being like just like this with 2 thumbs up.
To me, like that was the Rotten Tomatoes of its time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, well,
you either had a 0%, a 50%, or 100%.
That's it. And you really wanted to watch movies that had 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
I know that. So I looked up what the craziest 2 thumbs up movie was.
Craziest meaning
like one that it's like
terrible.
This is a movie that like has like a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. And like the only 2 people who liked it were Siskel and Ebert.
B movie.
No. Speed 2.
Cruise Control.
That's right.
Wow.
That got 2 thumbs up.
Wow.
And it's like a 0 on it's like a 4 on Rotten
Was there
Tomatoes.
any reason, like any, did they talk about it? I mean, I'm sure they did, but did you see?
I forget exactly what it was. Ebert said something that was hilarious about it. He was like, I like to see things that I haven't seen before. And he said something like, and I saw an RV drive off of a cruise ship or something. like he loved that.
Fair. He would have loved in Furious 7 when the one car goes flying through the giant buildings in Dubai.
He has something, he always said something that I like totally agree with. He's like, I give context. He's like, yeah, I'm going to give a thumbs up. I'm just paraphrasing here to Schindler's List. And I'm going to give a thumbs up to Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Right.
That doesn't mean I think that they're equal in quality.
What were the movies that he was talking about? So there's a point in this movie where they show him and Siskel going back and forth about Full Metal Jacket, which Siskel loved.
And some like random
and,
weird
like, this random,
dog movie.
Some random dog movie that Ebert said he loved.
Yeah, he's like, I loved it.
Yeah. Siskel was sitting
just to get under Siskel's skin.
Siskel was sitting there being like, Full Metal Jacket is like, I've never seen anything like this. It's the most accurate portrayal of whatever. And Ebert's like, you're kidding me? You haven't seen Apocalypse Now? He named like 5 movies, and they're like cross talking each other. They're like yelling at each other, and then they cut to Ebert talking about the other movie. And he's like talking about how much he loved it. And Siskel's like, so you're telling me that you like this movie, but you didn't like Full Metal Jacket?
You think this movie's better than
Stanley Kubrick's movie?
Yeah.
And Ebert's like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that what you're saying about Kubrick is that it's new and brand new and different, and it's not. But I'm looking at this from a kid's point of view. Right. And every kid is going to love this movie.
And I think that's totally fair.
I don't know if he was right, because I don't know what that movie was. But
it's probably awful.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I could find it.
Yeah. So I love that idea of like, yeah, you have to put it into perspective. It's like, I'm watching Vanderpump Rules.
Sure.
Right?
So am I, unfortunately.
You watch all the like reruns.
Yeah.
And news just broke like a couple hours ago that Tom Sandoval and Ariana broke up because he cheated on her with Raquel.
Okay.
And those
are words.
Is that a big deal when like Alec Murdaugh was just sentenced to life in prison today, right? Like, is this going to be like breaking news to like The View, which it was today? No. For me though, yeah, they should break into Jeopardy as long as Mayim's hosting.
Yes.
Tell me that Tom and Ariana broke up because he's having an affair with Raquel.
So do you think that like David Muir should do that? Who should be delivering the news?
Yeah, Muir should break in and be like, listen,
guys,
all you Bravo-holics.
Is that what they're called?
I don't know what they're called, actually, now that I think about it. I was thinking, Bachelor Nation, but that's not Bravo.
Bravo Nation?
I just know that he'll be like, yo, this is the most important thing about Bravo celebrities.
Yeah.
That you will hear this week.
Bravo celebrities is a word.
Yeah. So, like, I totally understand that. Like, is that breaking news? In the grand scheme of things, no. In my world of, like, trash TV, it absolutely is. So, just like, by the time I'm watching, you guys are listening to this in a couple of days, it's going to be all news. But
yeah, right.
I'm still kind of shook.
Okay, it means nothing to me.
Exactly. Just like watching like a kid's movie about a dog that's awful means nothing to Siskel as an adult.
Right.
But for someone who's
I can't
find
it. I can't find it.
I really liked that perspective.
Yeah, I mean context matters.
Totally. I also took a thing. RogerEbert.com has an article that's called Ebert's Most Hated, and it's just a picture of Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
Okay, which is a valid one to be the poster boy there.
And then there's some that are obvious, like he didn't like Joe Dirt. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
he had a very famous one. The movie North is just like a comedy. He wrote, I hated this movie. hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience insulting moment of it. Hated the sensibility, the thought, that anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it. Like, imagine getting that review. He hated the hot chick. He really did not like Rob Schneider movies.
I mean,
he hated Baby Geniuses. He hated Spice World.
I'm gonna assume he didn't see Baby Geniuses too.
I don't know. He hated The Water Boy.
I'm surprised he hated Spice World because I feel like he's okay with like the camp of it all. You know?
He didn't like it. He said they're so detached.
He felt like they phoned it in.
They can't even successfully lip sync their own songs.
Okay. That's fair.
But there's a couple. He hated Tommy Boy, which is really interesting.
Oh wow. Exception that proves the rule.
And then there's one.
I like The Water Boy too, but
yeah, there's one that I was like, oh wow, that he hated. He hated, The Usual Suspects.
I could see that. It's a little long and it's not that groundbreaking and it's not that interesting, honestly, except for the twist and like just generally the spacey and Chaz Palminteri sort of cat and mouse. Other than that, Stephen Baldwin's not good. Like I like the movie, but it's way too long.
Right.
And like it's hard to follow.
He basically said, to the degree that I understand, I don't care.
Right, exactly. And I could see that, but it has an iconic ending. And Spacey, I mean, Spacey's a terrible person, but in that movie, he's great. Spacey was a great actor, like at his peak during his time.
Yeah, totally.
And Usual Suspects is right up there with Seven and with American Beauty. Like all these movies, he's really creepy. And now that you look back on it, but
exactly, yeah. So, he wrote for his Sight and Sound poll. He said he does not like top 10 lists.
2012?
Yeah, but he did the 2012 critics poll. He listed his top 10 of all time.
Okay.
He said 2001: A Space Odyssey.
We have to see that. We have to see more Kubrick.
Yeah. A movie that I don't know how to pronounce. Aguirre.
Aguirre, maybe.
Something like that. The Wrath of God. Apocalypse Now. Citizen Kane. La Dolce Vita, The General, Raging Bull, Tokyo Story, The Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we did not like Tree of Life. Sorry, Malekheads.
And Vertigo. So that was interesting. And then he did like
Tokyo Story rules.
I don't know that one.
It's Ozu, right?
I don't know.
Oh, he didn't write it. It's a Japanese movie, obviously. It's about this like older couple who comes back to their family, like their kids in Tokyo, and it's like it's post-war. It's like all about like how the society's changing and they're like old school and they come and they're like their kids don't have time for them because they're like working, they're doing their new tech jobs, they're doing all this stuff, and it's just about how the family sort of interacts with each other. It's a really, really good movie.
That's really cool.
It's based on a movie from the 30s that's an American movie called Make Way for Tomorrow, which I've also seen.
Yeah.
And Ozu had never seen it, but the writer had seen it. So it has like beats, but it's totally different because it's a different director's sort of idea of the same
That's cool.
thing. Yeah.
I like that. So he also put his favorite movie of the year. And just to point it out, one thing is really cool. In 1994, it was Hoop Dreams.
Oh, I have something about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then just like right before he died, there's his last few. 2000, we're going actually more than
Almost Famous.
Bit. Almost Famous. 2001, Monsters Ball. Hated that movie.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But I could see because it was something where it was like sort of testing an interracial relationship. So if he's into more like progressive causes, I could see him liking that movie, even though I think it was totally terribly done.
Yeah. 2002, Minority Report. Great movie.
Honestly, that's one that people don't really bring up much when it comes to Spielberg. So I'm glad that
so good.
I'm glad that somebody gave it its recognition.
2003, Monster. Hated it.
Did not like.
2004, $1 Million Baby.
Haven't seen.
2005, Crash. Hated
Terrible.
it. Wow.
But again, it's another race movie. It's another one.
I am like so not into Ebert's choices. 2006, Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
2007, Juno. 2008, Synecdoche, New York. I hated it.
You didn't hate it.
Hated that movie.
It's another one of those.
Hated it.
It's another one of those things where she was like, "Oh, that was pretty good," and then like as it goes, it's like, "Oh, that wasn't that good. Oh, it was okay. Oh, I hated it."
That movie was awful. 2009, Hurt Locker. 2010, Social Network.
I'm surprised Avatar wasn't there. given his review on Avatar.
He loved it. He was like, this movie.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Social Network 2010, duh. 2011, A Separation.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a good movie.
Yeah,
And
that guy is known for plagiarism
guy,
now.
Plagiarizes, but okay. And 2012, Argo.
Okay, those are all fine.
I was like, okay. And then honestly,
he tends to track with Best Picture a lot, it seems.
Yeah, and then since then, his website does a count where they rank based on other critics.
Okay.
So
they aggregate?
Yeah. 2014, Under the Skin. Didn't like that movie.
People love that movie though.
I don't know. 2015, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
That's good. 2016, Moonlight.
Did Mad Max and Moonlight both make Sight? I know Moonlight made Sight and Sound this time.
I don't think Mad Max did.
I think it might have made the top 250.
2017, Lady Bird. 18, Roma. 19, The Irishman. Yeah, right.
Scorsese.
2020, Small Axe Lovers Rock.
Small Axe was a series of shorter movies that was put on Amazon. It's by Steve McQueen.
Oh, cool.
I meant to watch them, I never did. There's 4 of them, or 4 or 5 of them.
Lovers Rock is the one there. 2021 last year, Power of the Dog,
which didn't end up winning.
And then 2022, Banshees of Inisherin.
Good. Banshees rules.
Let's take a second. Let's talk about our favorite and least favorite so far Oscar movies that we've watched.
Yeah, so we have watched most of the Best Pictures. We've watched most of the acting awards. The main ones that we haven't got to are Women Talking, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Whale,
Triangle of Sadness.
That may be it.
I think that's it.
Maybe one Living with Bill Nighy, who's up for Best Actor. But we've seen
the rest of them.
We've seen most of them.
Oh, buddy.
Has not been my favorite year.
Me either. As always, there's always a couple movies, 2 or 3 movies that really hit with me. This year there were 2.
Yeah.
That really
After Sun
hit
and Banshees.
That's it. Yeah. After Sun and Banshees. So After Sun was my favorite of the year so far, for sure. That's the one with Paul Mescal. He's nominated for Best Actor. And it's a portrait of a man and his daughter, as she's 11 years old, going on vacation in Turkey in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It's excellent.
And sad. And I just, what I really like about it is it explores movie making in a way that I just don't think I've seen on screen before.
And it's not a hard watch either.
No, it's not.
It's not light, but you kind of get what it's going for the whole time.
It hits you, man.
It sort of reminds me of the Florida Project.
Yeah.
In that way. What
I like is it hit me after I finished watching.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
And then Banshees just rocks.
Banshees is the best.
That's an Irish movie about a guy who just stops being friends with a guy because he thinks he's boring.
He's dull.
Yeah. And then that's it. And the guy's just trying to figure out why and how to be friends again after that. He's I don't want to be your friend.
Are you going to drink your pint outside, or do I have to drink my pint outside?
It's so good.
And they live on the same tiny little island, and they don't everybody sees each other. They have to run into each other. They see each other constantly.
Right.
But he's dull.
He's dull. Yeah, those are my 2 favorites.
I liked Tar.
I did like Tar. I thought it was really fun. Tar is a fake biopic.
Yeah.
Of a composer.
Lydia Tarr.
And it's really long, but I didn't feel like it was that long.
It doesn't feel like that long because we watched it right after we watched RRR.
That's true. I liked RRR too.
Which was 3 hours long. It did not get nominated for an Oscar, but I really liked Decision to Leave when I saw it in theaters.
See that.
It was a Korean murder mystery type thing. And it was really interesting, and it was by the director of Old Boy, if you've seen Old Boy. But yeah, that was the one that I really liked. And then, Top Gun was good. Glass Onion was good.
I love Top Gun Maverick, although now I probably have to not pick that as my best picture.
What happened now?
It hasn't won anything,
Oh,
Tom.
I thought you meant because
it's won nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm stupid.
Guess what? Guess who the favorite is right now?
It's Everything Everywhere.
Guess what I picked in our prediction episode?
Not that.
Tar. No, I'm just kidding.
Everything Everywhere I was not enamored by personally. I like the
Same.
performances for the most part.
Yeah.
But
I love that James Hong's 98 years old.
That's cool. Fabelmans I thought was okay.
Fabelmans was exactly what I expected.
I actually found the Michelle Williams and Paul Dano characters a little annoying.
Yeah, I guess.
A little grating. But the movie was all right. What else did we watch?
There was Blonde.
Blonde was one of the worst movies I ever saw in my life.
Blonde was absolutely
truly offensive.
It was absolutely horrendous.
Like, I kept being like, this is offensive. Like, not even like that's maybe no, like actually offensive.
Offensively terrible filmmaking as well.
Oh my God, it was awful.
It's like if you
sorry, I don't need a fetus saying please don't kill me to Marilyn Monroe. No, and when it didn't happen. Like that.
Like, not only did the fetus not talk to her, she never did that.
Right, exactly. Oh my God. Also, sorry, Ana de Armas being nominated for Best Actress for that is egregious.
A joke.
It's actually egregious.
Oh, we didn't talk about To Leslie.
We should, first of all, why are we like getting into, oh wait, should we disqualify Andrea Riseborough for actually giving a really good performance in To Leslie because she maybe did some shady stuff? How about we take away Ana de Armas's nomination because it was just wrong?
Yeah.
The nomination was just wrong.
It's funny because if she had played a character that was not Marilyn Monroe, it would have been fine. It would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
But she's just like objectively not Marilyn Monroe.
And it's not even that she's not Marilyn Monroe. Like
I crapped on Austin Butler a little bit in our episode. Like, Austin Butler as Elvis. Austin Butler was 1,000 times better as Elvis than Ana de Armas was as, and I like Ana de Armas.
110%.
She just was not good as Marilyn Monroe.
No, and she did 9 months of training.
Dialect or
Girl, get your money back.
Yeah.
Get your money back.
Yeah.
Awful nomination.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion there. And Michelle Williams absolutely should not have been. I like Michelle Williams too. I'm not talking about Destiny's Child Michelle Williams, who I also like. Okay, first of all, why? Why is she nominated?
I don't know. Why did she push for a Best Actress nomination?
That's the other thing. It was supporting.
But it was also
supporting.
But she also made a big deal out of it by like campaigning for Best Actress when like I wouldn't have nominated her for either, I don't think.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about the fact that now that I've watched a lot of these, I'm mad.
Yeah. Well,
I'm mad.
We can talk about it too when we do our post-Oscars post-mortem as well.
I'll be repeating all of this. Let's talk about supporting
Nobody's
actress.
Nobody's going to listen to this episode.
Supporting actress, Jamie Lee Curtis?
Angela Bassett was good.
Angela Bassett, why were they nominated?
Right.
I'm sorry.
They were nominated because they're Jamie Lee Curtis and Angela Bassett.
And I love them. That they should not have been nominated.
Angela Bassett got her nomination because the Academy listened to our Waiting to Exhale episode. Jamie Lee Curtis got her nomination because the Academy listened to our Halloween episode.
Well, guess what?
We are tastemakers.
I never should have said it because they shouldn't have been nominated.
We're tastemakers. It's not our fault.
Oh my God. Okay, Best Supporting Actor, Judd Hirsch. Are you joking?
Wait, and Ana de Armas was nominated because they listened to our Knives Out episode.
What do you got to say about Judd Hirsch?
Judd
Hirsch was literally in The Fabelmans for 25 seconds.
He was, I think, the 8th shortest nomination ever for the amount of runtime that he's in the movie.
He like left, and Tom was like, "Yeah, that's it." And
I think that's it.
Are you kidding?
First of all, listen, I'm not a David Lynch head. Like a lot of people are. I've only seen Mulholland Drive, and I've seen I quit after like a season or so of Twin Peaks.
Also, Roger Ebert absolutely massacred Blue Velvet by David Lynch.
but David Lynch in The Fabelmans plays John Ford, who's like a mega famous director from back then, and his one scene. That's the one scene from The Fabelmans that I keep thinking about.
It's a great scene.
Whenever I watch a movie, I think about Where the Horizon. Like I look.
No, it's a great.
So he basically he's like this cigar smoking old school guy, and he points the character that's supposed to be Spielberg to 2 paintings on his wall. One of them has the horizon towards the bottom. One of them has the horizon towards the top. And he basically says that movies like that are interesting. Movies where the horizon is in the middle are boring.
Yeah. And
like the way that he does it and the way that he sets through that scene, he's in it for about as long as Judd Hirsch.
Yeah.
He was and it's the last scene in the movie.
Yeah.
He's a much more significant part of the movie, and it's a better performance than Judd Hirsch's. But Judd Hirsch is like 1 billion years old, so that's why Lynch is like 1 billion minus like 10.
Judd Hirsch, they did it because he's the longest between nominations.
Right.
He was nominated in 1980 for Ordinary People, and now he's nominated for this one.
43 years.
I watched The Fabelmans, and I saw that, and I said, "What in the world am I doing with my life?" That these people are able to get nominated.
Yeah.
And I can't even I don't even know.
Well, and like and like you said, the controversy with Andrea Riseborough.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a good thing that people can sort of go behind people's backs and like just cater towards
right
specifically towards like the people in their branches, because that's not fair. That's too political, whatever. But at the same time, she's at least third best of best actress.
She was great.
Nominees.
And my thing is like
Michelle,
okay.
I would put her like around the same level as Michelle Yeoh, but I think Cate Blanchett was a level above.
My thing is like this. Okay, so maybe they did that for To Leslie, like where they went a little bit shady with like talking to other people trying to get whatever.
The movie made like $25,000.
Yeah, it made $31,000. And also, how many of the people that were nominated did all these other crazy campaigning that's just technically legal?
Michelle Williams
was
campaigning for a specific category just because she wanted to be in that specific category, and she got it.
Right.
Why is that any different from what? I mean, it's like, why is one thing legal and one thing's not?
Honestly, justice for To Leslie. Like, why don't you take
Justice for Marc Maron.
Justice for Marc Maron. Why couldn't he be nominated for Best Supporting Actor?
He was a much larger and much more effective part of the movie than Judd Hirsch was to The Fabelmans.
Like, I don't understand. It
is wild.
All right, what about Best Actor? Who am I mad at now?
Well, we like Mezcal. We like Farrell.
Yeah.
We didn't see Living.
I'm good with Austin Butler.
No, Austin Butler. He's probably going to win, but I'm not for it.
And then,
like I said in our Oscars preview,
no, I'm good with him being nominated. I don't want him to win.
Oh, he's probably gonna win. It's either gonna be him or Brendan Fraser, which I haven't seen it, and I like Brendan Fraser, so
and we will watch it.
It's honestly it's a makeup award for Bedazzled, I think.
Totally.
But with that one, what's his name? Austin Butler. Like I said in the preview episode, there's 300 people doing that same performance in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
Marrying people.
No, I totally get it.
He was Elvis. Great.
Yeah.
I'm just over biopics winning for acting awards. Because you're doing an impression of somebody.
Right. That's why Tar was so good, because like she's not real.
Did you see that? Was it Leonard Bernstein came out and was like talking about, or did he just die?
I don't know.
Somebody, I think it was Leonard Bernstein came out. Or his estate came out. Let me see. Let me just verify my facts here. Somebody came out and said, it was his estate. Leonard Bernstein's been dead for like 30 years. It was somebody who came out and said that Lydia Tarr was like, as if she was his protege or whatever. And it was somebody who was like not involved in the movie, nothing. It was just somebody that was like mentioned or name dropped in the movie.
Okay, also, how iconic is it that on the To Leslie Instagram page, they ended up deleting it, but they posted something that was like,
she's way better than
Cate Blanchett.
And Cate Blanchett was one of the people who was like supporting her.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because Cate, she knows.
Kate knows.
She's.
Are you kidding?
She's gonna win, or Michelle Yeoh's gonna win.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the two.
Yeah.
I think it might be Michelle Yeoh.
Well, I mean, the only one she won was the SAG.
Oh, really?
Or whatever the last one was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The only one Michelle Yeoh won was the SAG?
Yeah. Cate Blanchett's won every other one.
Really?
I think.
Okay. Man,
Uncle Nick P. Let us know. Fact check us on that.
So, yeah, this year honestly has not been ideal. I did like All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
I'm team no more war movies, but I liked that it was from the German perspective.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. We'll talk more about it, obviously.
Yeah.
Our Oscars one. But overall, this year, I got to be honest.
Yeah. You want to go back to our favorite critic?
Ebert?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about him?
I got some stuff to talk about.
Let's do it.
Okay. Did you get the questions that I sent you earlier?
I did.
Did you think about any of them?
I gave a passing thought.
Perfect. What movie would you have wanted to watch with Roger Ebert?
Popstar. Never Stop, Never Stopping.
I know. That's one of the greats. That's
The Room.
He had a chance to watch The Room. Popstar's one of the ones he didn't have a chance to watch.
No, he didn't.
Because it came out in 2016.
He would have given it 4 out of 4.
Yeah. I would have wanted to watch The Banshees of Inisherin with him.
Oh, he would have loved it.
Or would he? I don't know. Well, I wonder what his In Bruges one was.
Yeah, because he definitely did that.
Yeah, which was the same director.
Well, what's crazy is someone when the movie came out, one of the people interviewed said that he has been reviewing movies for half of the time that movies have been around.
Yeah.
And it made me sad. That actually might have made me the saddest in the entire movie, because it's like every year that passes, that fact gets less and less true.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
I felt really like sad at the end here because like he even towards the end it was like his body just ran out on him. Like he was still blogging, he was still doing everything right up until the end, and like it was just the brain was there and the body wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
After all the hell that his body went through.
Yeah, totally.
So the woman who was the executive producer of the Siskel and Ebert show said that Roger thinks that everybody ought to be able to get a movie.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I love that idea. Here's my thing. I don't love when our friends say that like they don't watch movies for the deeper meaning. They don't care about deeper meaning. They just watch them to say I like it or I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just find that to be extremely limiting. It's a limiting perspective. And I find that when you have something called a limiting belief, that means that you're very close-minded to being able to go past that.
Yeah.
So like we learn about that in teaching school. So when a kid says, I can't write essays, I'm not good at this, I can't do this, they're not going to go past that point, right? So I find saying, I don't get deeper meanings of movies to be a very limiting belief. You're not going to see past it then.
I think it's fair. I think it's fine if you're taking movies in as simply a form of entertainment, which is fine.
I think that's fine too, but not saying, but if you say like, oh, I'm watching Banshees of Inisherin.
Right.
And I'm not looking at anything past the plot.
It's not good because I didn't like the plot.
It's not good because the plot was like, yeah, I didn't like the plot. I'm sorry. That's a limiting way of viewing art.
Yeah, I mean, I try to find even with stupid movies, like School of Rock, like I try to find.
It's not a stupid movie.
Okay, I try to find what the director or the writer wants me to get out of it.
Yeah, and also there's something to be said for the idea. Now, this is my English teacher coming through, but there's something to be said for the idea that it doesn't matter what the author's or the director or the writer's purpose is. It's finding your own meaning of something. But something connecting with you. Like maybe I really, really connect with Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Who's to say that B movie isn't an A+ movie?
Jesus. No, and what I'm saying is I search first for what they're trying to tell me, and then I derive what I get from it from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like The Water Boy.
Yes.
Clearly Kathy Bates is in it for a reason.
Yeah. And Henry Winkler.
So you got to understand that like there's deeper meanings to stuff, and it's not enough to say like, oh yeah, I know there is, but whatever. I refuse to look at them. I don't like that.
Right.
I think everybody has the possibility to get movies, even if you don't think in that kind of way. If you have a more like rational brain or whatever, you still can get it. And
I think I have a rational brain, but I've also
I don't have a rational
conditioned
brain.
it to approach art in certain ways too.
Yeah.
I'm basically the greatest of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's a good answer to that question.
It's a rude answer, but it's an answer.
I mean, whatever. So, are there people out there that you don't know that you feel like you sort of connect with and understand? Because like
so many,
I kind of feel that way with just from reading his reviews with Ebert.
Do you really?
I do. I think that I think about movies in a lot of the same ways that he does. He's obviously far more advanced and far better at articulating it, but I just feel like in every review if I don't agree, I can at least understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have sort of a similar way of analyzing.
Well, it's like how Christina Applegate's my cousin.
That's what I was thinking of. Another one, since we just watched To Leslie, and this is kind of weird, but like I feel like I connect with Mark Maron.
I love Mark Maron, man.
He's the best.
Okay, why did I love To Leslie?
All right, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Like, I'm so
We got to talk about that with Palesi.
That was such a good movie.
It was a good movie. But yeah, no, I mean like I feel like it's a weird like parasocial thing. Like I knew him in a past life or something.
I love that.
I have that with like some random people like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, do you have any?
No. Christina Applegate, I told you. And then, I mean, I could just make somebody up right now.
Yeah, go for it. Nobody's gonna listen to this. It's the Roger Ebert documentary episode.
Honestly, no, but there are some things that people say that I super duper connect with and think about. Like, that's what I think about a certain thing. Like, I think about Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
With his thing about like his stuff about cancer. Like, that's who I think about when I think about that. Like when I think about super melty cheese.
You think about Guy Fieri.
Think about Guy Fieri. You know, there's like certain people that have said things and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do love donkey sauce.
I will go to Flavortown.
I will go to Flavortown. You know?
Okay, I get it. Okay, so I'm going to transition that into this question. If you could take, okay, so I was watching this and it really hit me that Siskel and Ebert are the original like ESPN First Take.
Yeah.
Like they were the original Skip and Stephen A.
Yeah.
Where like it's like kind of played as like a false, like it's like kind of real but kind of not.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of don't like each other but they kind of do.
Yeah.
And so my question is, if you could take any two people, put them on TV, and have them argue about any topic you want, what would the show look like?
Honestly, like I think that I would love a show with Paul Hollywood and Gordon Ramsay.
I did Paul Hollywood and Alex Garner-Shelley.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Oh my God.
Yes. Because Alex would murder Paul Hollywood.
I just love the idea of these two like surly Brits going at it.
Well, I like the Brit versus somebody who's an American who's more like sort of in your face.
Yeah.
My original one was Paul Hollywood and Tom Colicchio.
Oh, that would be amazing.
But I went with Garner-Shelley instead.
Oh my God, imagine Paul Hollywood versus Padma.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah. I also said I would like to see Harrison Ford and John Boyega argue about who hates Star Wars more.
Oh my God, it's so true. They literally hate it.
They would probably just end up bonding by the end, like Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah. I also would love, like, if you had Scorsese talking about movies alongside of Nick Vance. Someone who's like a master of their craft, like totally enthusiastic. And then someone who said, I literally love Batman vs Superman.
We Bought a Zoo is one of my favorite movies.
Yes, exactly. I think that would be really good. So much Nick Vance in this episode.
Yeah, it's building for his eventual appearance.
Totally. I would love it if you had like a really major like Disney adult against like going on rides with someone who hates Disney.
So me?
So
no, I don't
Ron
actually.
DeSantis. No, did you know he got married at Disney World?
Did he really?
Apparently.
Of course he did.
So something like that where you have like someone who really, really loves something and someone just who either maybe not even hates it, but just is like meh about it. I kind of love that idea.
Yeah.
So if you had like someone who's like a famous butcher and then me, you know, like
Bill the Butcher, Daniel Day-Lewis's character from Gangs of New York.
No. Okay, first of all, that was the movie we watched when we moved into our first home, our condo, back in 2017. And I swear to God, I almost crashed my car driving there. It was like a snowstorm. It was like, and we had just like no furniture, and we just watched Gangs of New York on the floor. On the floor on your laptop, and I was just like, this movie is long, bro.
No, that was not Gangs. We watched that in the living room.
Oh.
I don't remember what we watched on the.
Okay, but we watched Gangs of New York, and I was like, this movie is mad long.
Cameron Diaz.
I don't know.
She was above her head in that movie.
We're not going to talk about it.
Yes, correct.
I like Cameron Diaz, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Correct. So I would also like to see Brian Cox and Daniel Day-Lewis talk about method acting. Or Joaquin Phoenix. So Brian Cox is Logan Roy from Succession, among many other things. And he talks trash about the way that Jeremy Strong, who plays Kendall, his son in the show, acts, because he's a method actor. He is always in character. Apparently, Brian Cox finds him especially annoying. And he's like says stuff to like reporters about it and like magazines. So I would love to see him go one-on-one with like a titan of method acting. Yeah. Like Day-Lewis, Christian Bale has done it a few times.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like I would just not Joaquin probably wouldn't give it back to him. I think it would have to be Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Because it's somebody that has the gravitas.
DDL and Brian Cox. Oh yeah, baby.
Because I feel like Joaquin is not very argumentative with people that he's on the same level with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like Brian Cox, he would have to have somebody who we can match up with intellectually, and would also, if we're on TV, like give it back to him. And I think that's Daniel Day-Lewis.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also think like Joan Rivers would be good. Like I would watch a show with her
And just talking about whatever with
just
some
like
with
literally
like,
fighting with someone about
with
something.
Joaquin Phoenix.
It doesn't matter. Like anybody, like every episode.
Joan Rivers and Russell Crowe.
Anything like Joan Rivers, and then you just bring somebody on a new person every episode. Like she fights with the Bucky mascot.
Bucky right here.
Like whatever. I love it.
For our audio only listeners, Bucky from the famous chain Bucky's is sitting in our baby's high chair right now.
Shout out Bucky's.
And Corduroy.
And a scary looking cat in the hat.
All right, so I think I'm done with my questions. I have some discussion.
You okay?
Let's see. What was I writing here? When Chaz his wife took the Bible out of his hospital drawer and looked at him and said, "I take it this is not yours."
That was so funny.
Scorsese said something really nice about him. He said he loved movies, really, really loved movies. He did not get caught up in certain ideologies of what cinema should be. So he was watching what was on screen, not worrying about what it could have been or what it wasn't.
Yeah. I just loved how much all these like titans of cinema and famous directors just loved him so much.
Well, I mean, he was a part of making them. He was a part of making Scorsese.
Yeah.
And he didn't only give him good reviews because there was, what movie was it that he hated?
Color of Money.
The Color of Money. And it was after they were friends and Ebert gave it a trash review.
Yeah.
I love that Siskel used to read Ebert's notebook upside down when they were sitting across from each other so he could get where Ebert was going and who he was going to interview so he could call and get the interview first.
Genius.
I love the footage where they're ripping each other trying to record the promo for their Thriller week.
It's so funny.
They're like, "Oh, you said that wrong. It's Siskel and Ebert and the movies, not at the movies." And they're like filming and it's rolling the whole time.
They literally hated each other. And then they end up loving each other.
Yeah. I said I think I figured out why I like Ebert's writing so much, and it's because of that like blue collar Chicago
100%.
Sun-Times style.
I like it because it doesn't pander.
It's not pretentious.
It's not pretentious. It's straightforward, but he doesn't take his audience as idiots that need to be talked down to.
Right.
Like he doesn't need to simplify it.
He's analytical.
But it's very straightforward, and I love that. That is totally how I like to approach writing too.
Yeah.
Not that I'm even freaking close to what Ebert does.
He's one of the greatest modern writers I think of all time.
It's gorgeous writing always, and every
I guess
word,
not of all time. Greatest modern writers.
Every word is picked perfectly. He has such a sense of humor, and I just so appreciate it.
Yeah, I also said I think we've already talked about this movie because it's Step Brothers.
Step Brothers?
Yeah, between him and Siskel.
Oh my god,
the way that they like sort of butted heads at the beginning and then kind of loved each other by the end.
That's so true.
I really like the one line that Ebert said when he was talking about the vacations with his family. When he would go to like all these places with his family, and he would walk with one of his step grandkids, and they would always do a nature walk every time they went. And then as he was in the hospital, he said, now that I lost it, he said, "Those times seem more precious now that they're in the past."
Yeah. I just love that. It's something so simple.
Yeah.
And I also am someone who loves just walking and people watching while on vacation.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you'll love it more when you're doing it with him and with, know, future, whoever. We
did that on the Baby Moon a lot.
Yeah.
Where we went to Newport. And we did it in Cape May too. When we went on walks, we just sat, we enjoyed. We did that in Princeton one day too that I just really liked. And I just remember those as like so peaceful and nice.
Yeah.
Like some of my favorite little memories.
Yeah, and he was doing it in a whole bunch of Venice. He was
doing it on the Ebert budget.
Yeah. Also his license plate was just movies.
Yeah. Movies.
That's it. Illinois movies.
Movies.
That is awesome.
That's perfect.
Okay. I said I love that Ebert was so open with all of his struggles because like it is hard to watch at times.
It is.
But I think that communication among people is so important, and I think that like it's so is normalizing that like people aren't always okay.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that his generation, by and large, does not. I don't think understand.
So true.
So he was obviously an exception to the way that baby boomers are.
Yeah.
In that sort of way, and I think that it may have helped Gen Xers and millennials and people who are starting to become more open with their struggles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it did. If it even helped one person, then that's great.
Yeah. Because
it's looking at Roger Ebert without a jaw is like it's jarring, but it's not. It's an image. It's nothing that's
right.
Right. It's the benefit that you gain from him sharing this with the world is far outweighs one image.
Well, what I like about it is that a lot of times when you have something like that, you see them at their like lowest or their last moments, and it's very sad, and that's like how you remember people. But I think in the documentary showed that that's not really how it is. There's a whole life lived behind it.
Yeah, and even when he was looking like that and he was down and he was bad, like that was his third act of his career. He pivoted to blogging.
And he still had life in him. Yeah.
He had some people that I was reading some stuff about the movie, and they were saying like his writing only got better when he stopped being able to talk.
Right.
Because he had to choose his words more carefully, and
right.
he didn't have the benefit of just saying stuff out loud anymore.
Yeah.
So he was more thoughtful about what he was saying, and he was already thoughtful about what he was saying.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, in a way, it was even positive in some aspects of his life.
Well, and I liked it too how it showed that like he married his wife at age 50.
Yeah.
And he passed at age 70.
Yeah.
And it seems that in his final act, the last couple years, there's such a deep love that you see that's a different type.
Oh, yeah.
That caretaker.
And she's in a tough spot because there's so many conflicting emotions when you're like that. You get frustrated. You have some negative emotions that you take out on the person, too.
And they showed that in the movie, too.
They did.
It was really well done.
Even though it comes from a place of love. So it shows how many, like, when something comes from love, there's so many different ways that it manifests, including negative ways. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a fascinating thing that it showed.
Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie or that you wish it included?
Well, you're going to talk about how you wish that there was more movie stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Which is fine. I agree with that too. And something that I wish Roper would have got a mention.
Seriously.
But I mean, it was what it was. It was supposed to be like a retrospective on his career, and it ended up kind of being a eulogy.
Yeah.
So you have to. And how long was it going to be? It was already 2 hours.
Totally fair.
So I get it, but I don't know what I would have taken out.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I would have added. I would have made a half an hour longer. I would have put in some of his more famous reviews. I would have put more clips in of him with Siskel and with Roper. I would have had him maybe discussing things like movies that he changed his opinion on. Things like I literally looked up like 5 or 6 different questions. Yeah. Like what movies did he hate the most? What movies did he change his opinion on over the years? What was his his favorite Oscar movie? What movie did he think was snubbed? Like things like that, that I understand that this was more about his whole life. But I would have liked a little more focus on what he is known for because I find him so fascinating.
So I just have 2 quick reviews. So I watched a review by Mark Kermode of BBC, and it was like a 5-minute thing. And I found this one thing that he said really interesting. He said, he described the movie like this, and it's like sort of a 3-part, like a movie, like 3 acts. On the one hand, what you have is a documentary about film criticism moving from print to TV to the internet. You also have a documentary about a life which is basically lived and mediated through cinema. Beyond that, you have a documentary about someone finding happiness and love with their partner and their family, and then facing extraordinary illness and physical battles with immense grace and immense good humor, and not ever allowing those circumstances to take the edge off of their writing. And this movie does all of those at once.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, here we go. And then, so I went to, normally we would do a Roger Ebert review, but he obviously was not around to review this movie. So his website did, rogerebert.com, and it was written by, he's like desperately grabbing for Erin's phone. And it was written by Matt Zoller Seitz. Do you know him?
No.
He's the like editor-in-chief or whatever at RogerEbert.com. He writes for New York Magazine and Vulture.
Okay.
He co-wrote the book The Soprano Sessions.
Yeah.
That I have with Alan Sepinwall from Rolling Stone. So he was writing from a hospital where his dad was recovering from a stroke. Mm-hmm. His dad eventually he survived. And he said, given that the movie takes place largely in a hospital, this documentary, it was a sort of touching thing here because he says, Roger was a professional father to me, as he was to a good many people, a fact I'm more keenly aware of than usual at this moment, sitting on a couch under fluorescent lights, typing on a laptop at midnight. When critics review films, they bring the sum of their intellectual capacity and life experience to bear, along with whatever drama or comedy they're going through at that moment in time. Life itself gets this. Life itself, that loaded two-word phrase, is what Roger really wrote about when he wrote about movies. Life itself is what I'm dealing with as I sit here in a hospital waiting room, and it's what you're dealing with as you sit here reading this review of Life itself. The film chronicles two great love stories. One is between Roger and Chaz, whom Roger met in Alcoholics Anonymous and married in 1992, and is credited with changing him from a domineering, insecure, and sometimes insensitive man, capable of stealing a cab away from a pregnant woman. He is nice, a friend tells James, but he's not that nice, into the mellow, reflective, generous person celebrated in obituaries and appreciations. The other love story is a bromance between Roger and the hyper-competitive Chicago Tribune critic Gene Siskel, a print rival who became an on-camera debate partner and off-camera business partner, then finally the brother that Roger, an only child, never had. Whenever I think of it, the first image that springs to mind is a bit from a TV interview conducted not long before Roger's death, when Chaz loses her composure, and instead of zooming in close to her tears as a hack camera person might, it instead dips down to capture her hand and Roger's intertwined. Life can be harsh, sometimes unimaginably painful, but we reach out. Roger described cinema as, quote, a machine that generates empathy. That's life itself. It's an accessible, conventional nonfiction film, and yet at the same time, it is wily and inventive, dodging and weaving to make easy labeling impossible, inspiring and engaging you, bending and breaking rules, inventing and reinventing itself as it goes along, much like Roger did. I watched it again in the waiting room before writing this review. I give it 3.5 stars. My dad gets 4.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that was the RogerEbert.com review of Life itself. And he says throughout, like, we are not objective. This is not something, we're not breaking this down. Like, everybody loved it that we were with.
Yeah.
So he was like, this is probably the least objective review you'll ever read.
Yeah.
But he still knocked a 0.5 star off because of, like, certain inaccuracies and things like that.
Sure.
Or things he would have liked to seen that were different. Other than that, I just have one piece of trivia.
Okay.
Steve James, as you noted, also directed the documentary Hoop Dreams, which was not only Roger Ebert's favorite movie of 1994, it was his favorite movie of the 1990s.
Wow.
The title, Life Itself, comes from Ebert's original review. A film like Hoop Dreams is what the movies are for. It takes us, shakes us, and makes us think in new ways about the world around us. It gives us the impression of having touched life itself.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's Life Itself.
We're going through it right now.
This is Life Itself.
This is Life Itself.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
So, does Life Itself make Baby's First Watch List?
Yeah! Watch it!
Of course. Do you have takeaways?
Celebrate what you love.
There's a part in this movie where they talk about the final page of Great Gatsby.
Yeah, they do.
And it basically boils down to, like, you can be whatever you want and, like, just keep being whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I would
Perfect.
pass on.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's Life Itself.
Great.
So next week, we will be back, and we will be doing 1991's Beauty and the Beast.
Rock on. That's my Disney movie, baby.
The reason why is because the Oscars are this coming Sunday, and Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film ever to be nominated for Best Picture out of 3. Only 3.
So it's this one. It's Toy Story 3.
Yes.
And...
right before Toy Story 3. The year before Toy Story 3.
Ding, ding, ding. Up. I got all 3, baby.
The only other one that came close was Inside Out.
Inside Out.
It was like in the conversation during Oscar season.
Yeah.
And then also next week we're going to have our Oscars wrap up with Uncle Nick P, which I believe will be out on Wednesday, but I haven't fully figured that out yet.
That's going to be a fun one. I'm going to get heated.
Yeah, we're going to talk everything Oscars and everything.
I'm mad bored,
Maybe we'll
though.
get a slap this year.
Listen, I probably won't watch. I'm probably going to watch The Last of Us finale instead.
Oh, yeah, true.
So, that's cool.
Yeah, but we'll find out if there was anything crazy.
Oh, yeah, totally.
A wrong winner or something. Yeah, we have to put this child to bed, so
we
will see you guys next week.
Peace.